Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about one of the most exciting new indie games out there, Jump Space. This game has been turning heads with its mix of ship management, first-person combat, and co-op teamwork. And in this video, I'm breaking down the 5 biggest pros that make Jump Space such a standout experience. So if you've been curious about whether it's worth your time, stick around, because these 5 points really show why this game has so much potential.
First up, the seamless gameplay, and honestly, this is the feature that blew me away the most. In Jump Space, there are no jarring transitions. You're piloting your ship through deep space one moment, making calls on the fly about power distribution or shield strength, and then, without any loading screens, you can stand up from your pilot seat, walk through the corridors of your ship, and step out into zero gravity. From there, you might be boarding an enemy vessel, exploring a derelict wreck, or even touching down on the planet's surface. It all happens naturally in real time. That smooth integration of ship management, exploration, and first person combat creates this incredible sense of immersion. It's like you're not just playing a game with separate modes, you're actually living inside a full, connected universe. And the best part? It doesn't feel like a gimmick. The transitions aren't just for show, they actually matter. If your ship gets damaged, you can physically run down the corridor to repair the engine. If you're ambushed, you don't just click a button to fight enemies. You grab your weapon and deal with the threat directly. It's this blending of ship simulation and FPS gameplay that makes Jump Space stand out. No other game I've played has nailed that balance so smoothly. Next, let's talk about teamwork, because Jump Space was clearly designed with co-op in mind. Sure, you can play solo, but this game truly comes alive when you're with friends. Every player has a role, and those roles aren't just optional, they're essential to success. You might have one person piloting the ship, weaving through asteroid fields, or dodging incoming fire. Another player could be in the engine room, rerouting power, repairing damage, or making sure shields stay up. Someone else might be on weapons, firing cannons at enemy ships, while another teammate gears up to leave the ship entirely and handle objectives in first person combat. What's cool is how dynamic it all feels. You're not locked into one job forever. You can swap roles mid mission if things get hectic. Maybe your pilot hops out to repair damage while the engineer temporarily takes over the controls. Those shifting responsibilities keep everyone engaged. It also creates those chaotic, hilarious, and memorable moments. Picture this. Alarms are blaring, the ship's on fire, enemies are boarding, and you're all yelling at each other to handle different emergencies. When you finally pull through as a team, it's ridiculously satisfying. It's the same kind of magic Sea of Thieves has, where the game isn't just about what you're doing, but about how you're doing it together. That sense of cooperation and sometimes sheer panic makes Jump Space one of the best co-op experiences I've played in a long time. Another major strength of Jump Space is the combat and controls. And honestly, this is where I was the most surprised. Because a lot of indie games, especially ones trying to do something ambitious in space, struggle to make shooting and movement actually feel good. But here, the controls are tight and responsive. Aiming feels smooth, weapons have weight to them, and you actually get feedback with every shot you fire. Whether you're blasting enemies inside a ship or engaging in ground combat on a moon, everything feels impactful. There's also a nice balance between gunplay and utility. You're not just running and gunning, you're making quick choices. Do you keep fighting enemies boarding your ship, or do you sprint down the hallway to repair a system before it explodes? That blend of FPS action with ship management keeps the combat tense and strategic. What really stands out, though, is how polished it feels for an indie game in early access. Weapons don't feel like placeholders, they have personality, from the sound design to the recoil animations. Even melee attacks and repairs have weight to them, which is rare in a game at this stage of development. Simply put, Jump Space nails the moment to moment gameplay. The shooting feels satisfying, the movement is fluid, and the combat sequences actually hook you instead of feeling like filler. For me, that's what makes the game addictive. It's fun just to play, even before you factor in all the exploration and teamwork. Another big strength of Jump Space is the variety in its missions. This isn't a game where you do the same thing over and over. One moment you're navigating your ship through an asteroid storm, carefully managing shields and thrusters. The next you might be boarding a derelict vessel, flashlight in hand, not knowing if you'll find valuable loot or hostile enemies waiting inside. Sometimes you're sent down to a planetary surface to scavenge for resources, where you'll deal with different environments like dusty moons, icy plains, or even abandoned colonies. Each location has its own vibe and challenges, which keeps exploration interesting. And it's not just the environments. the objectives change too. You might need to escort a cargo ship, defend your own ship against boarding parties, or quickly repair systems during a surprise attack. There's this sense that anything can happen, and that unpredictability really keeps you on your toes. What I like most is that missions don't feel copy-paste. Even when you've done a similar type of objective before, the way the environment or the random events shake out makes it feel fresh. It keeps that just one more mission loop alive. And the last big pro is just how polished this game already feels. Jump Space is still in early access, but you can tell the developers put a lot of love into the details. The ship interiors look lived in, with blinking consoles, flickering lights, and little touches that make it feel like a real working vessel. The lighting and atmosphere in space are gorgeous, especially when you're flying past debris fields or watching a planet rise in the distance. Performance is also surprisingly solid for an indie title this ambitious. Sure, there are bugs here and there, but overall it runs smoother than I expected. And honestly, it's more stable than some big budget AA launches we've seen in the past few years. Another thing that impressed me is the sound design. Weapons have a satisfying punch, alarms give you that sense of urgency, and even the subtle hum of the ship's systems adds to the immersion. For a small studio, Jump Space already feels like a polished foundation. If this is just the early access version, I'm really excited to see what the full release will look like. And that's 5 big reasons why Jump Space is already making waves, even in early access. From its seamless transitions between ship and ground gameplay, to the teamwork, the responsive combat, the variety of missions, and just how polished it feels, this is a game that really surprised me in the best way possible. Now, of course, it's still in development, so there's more to come, but even in its current state, Jump Space is a blast to play, especially if you love co-op experiences. So what do you think? Will you be jumping into Jump Space, or are you waiting for the full release? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more gaming reviews, and I'll see you in the stars.